Welcome back to another episode on the Expand Your Awareness 2.0 podcast. I'm going to be honest with all of you listening to this right now. I'm pretty sure I'm changing the name of the podcast from the Expand Your Awareness 2.0 podcast, which is kind of a lot to say, to just the Aaron Doughty podcast. It's simple. Some people that go in, they type in just Aaron Doughty, and because they don't know it's called the Expand Your Awareness 2.0 podcast. Isn't that more simple? I like to keep things simple. The more simple it is, the easier it is to find. And I just feel like that is like the one thing that'll never change is my name for the most part until I ascend into the higher dimensions and pass away from this life. My name will be Aaron Doughty. So I think I'm going to change it to that. I hope you guys don't mind. I hope you guys are okay with that. I know some people don't like change. They freak out anytime there's a little bit of uncertainty. But yeah, that's a little update. Anyways, today's episode is I'm excited to share with you. It involves some things that are going to sound very bizarre, but were completely life transformational, and it has to do with some pretty weird things. Let me give you some examples, okay? I wish I could go to my phone right now, but I'm using my phone to record for the YouTube second channel. But there's like, I think I might actually have it on my iCloud on this iPad. But there's a list of like all the stuff that me and some friends did. And these are what I call identity shift experiences. Imagine that there's a certain way you see your identity, a certain story you tell yourself about who you are. And anything, like maybe you normally care what other people think, you normally act, feel, and are a certain way. Well, imagine if you did something you never would have saw yourself do before. Imagine you go out into the world and you do some pretty weird things. And people, you may think people are judging you. It may put you into some tension in the moment. There may be a lot of people around, but guess what actually happens? It completely shifts your identity, the way that you view yourself. So I'm going to be honest here. I proposed to an artichoke, okay? Sounds kind of crazy, but I literally went inside of Whole Foods. I gave a minute-long, dramatic, loving, full of love speech to an artichoke. And then I got on my knee and I asked the artichoke to marry me. And there were people around inside the produce aisle that were like, what the hell is going on? And the reason I did that was to break out of my identity, to expand my sense of self, to not care what other people think anymore. And these are public challenges that we did to break out of the box. So let me go real quick. Let me see. I'm pretty sure. Let me see. Oh, there is. Yay. Yay for iCloud on iPad. Even though, so let me explain to you the story of what happened first off. Now, I promise you, if you do something like this, like a public challenge like this, it will change your life. It'll change the way you view yourself. It'll be uncomfortable in the moment, but you'll literally feel high as you do it. I'll say that too. You'll feel high, and your energy will be so magnetic that anywhere you go, people will gravitate to you, even if you're doing these public challenges. I'll explain them to you, and I'm going to encourage you, all of you. I'll eventually have my friend Rebecca on the podcast very soon, and we're going to be going over and like kind of going about and talking about these different things that we did, why we did it, and kind of explaining a little bit of an update on it. But I thought I would do a little debrief with all of you while it's fresh in my mind, because that episode I won't be able to film till next week. So let me kind of share with you what happened. I have a friend named Rebecca, and she has told me about this thing that she did to shift her own identity years ago, and maybe like 2 years ago. And many of you may know this story from the episode with Rebecca Boatman, and she talks about that of a experience that she had where what she did is she went out to a Denny's, and she wanted to break out of her box. So she had an accountability partner with her. And what happened is she was given a challenge, and this challenge was meant to like really push her to her edge, to get her out of caring what other people think, to get her out of the box. So what she had to do, and what she was given as a way to expand her sense of identity, is going to a Denny's, sitting down to get food with her invisible boyfriend. She had an accountability partner at a different table. Nobody knew that they were together. And what she had to do is she had to have a full-on conversation with her invisible boyfriend. She had to order food for her invisible boyfriend, and she had to send the food back because it wasn't cooked correctly twice. So she had to send the food back twice. And the waitress, she said was like really nice, really accommodating, trying to pretend like it wasn't weird that she wasn't. I think eventually she realized, okay, there's no actual boyfriend here. Maybe she thought at first the boyfriend's in the bathroom. So Rebecca had a fear of being considered crazy, I think. So that was that was the edge of something that would like really break her out of her identity. So what she did is that's not it though. That's not the end of the story. So she has this full-on conversation with her invisible boyfriend. Then she orders and sends back her ex-boyfriend's food twice. There were like families around. It ended up being like a busy day. It was on a Sunday when she thought it wasn't going to be busy, but it was busy. And then she had families around that were like trying to hide their kids from seeing what like this crazy lady talking to her invisible boyfriend. And then at the end of the whole entire experience, the invisible boyfriend gets on her knees, gets on his knees and says, "Will you marry me?" And she says, "Oh my gosh, yes, I will marry you. Oh my God, he just proposed." And there's like nobody there. And and then there were like people that were in the entryway of this restaurant that could hear what was going on, and they would like start cheering and stuff like that. And they didn't realize that she was talking about an invisible boyfriend. But from that experience, she said it completely transformed her life. She started to see herself differently. She could see the blind spots in her life where she was really caring about what other people thought about her. And it then propelled her to like go out into the world, to start her own business, become successful, and all this other cool stuff. And it really changed her life. So after telling me about these, identity, these things that shifted her identity, I was like, okay, we need to do this, and she's super like passionate and excited about doing those kinds of things. So we actually also, this house in Sedona, I live with my friend Drew and Rebecca. So she's like all about this. So I thought, this is perfect. So this is what we did. She had a friend in town named Anya. It was my friend Josh, and Caitlin. So it was like 5 of us total. So what we did is this. We broke out into 2 groups, one group of 3, one group of 2. It was Anya, Rebecca, and I on one team, and it was Josh and Caitlin on another team. And the reason being is Josh is like a pretty outgoing guy. He's not afraid of doing much, so it's like, okay, he can just 2 people on that team. And it was an odd number. Normally we'd like to have like 3 and 3 or something like that. So there were a list that we all had of a whole bunch of different examples. And these lists are different points depending on what you do. We had 2 hours to complete as much of these as we could, but here's the thing. We had to film it. So you had to have someone like secretly filming. It had to be on camera or it didn't count. So sometimes, honestly, having the camera is also a form of a shift experience. Having a camera is like in having someone else film. Sometimes you could feel embarrassed because somebody sees you film and they're going to think something's going on, or, so let me share with you some of the things that are on this list. So there's different points for each one. We had 2 hours to do as much of these as possible to get up on camera, and then we were going to meet back at the house and watch them all and see who won as a team. So this is some of them. So 15 points. Get proposed to or propose to something or an invisible person for 30 seconds. Oh, I ended up doing it for a minute. Wow. I did this long dramatic pose, like proposal for a minute. It was really drawn out because I thought it had to be a minute. It was only 30 seconds. So that's one of them. Kind of similar to what Rebecca had to do, or she did back in the day to stretch her, to shift her identity. So the next one, reenact the Titanic for a full 60 seconds with a fake boat. So what I did is I found somebody and I had to convince them to get onto like a cart while we're at Whole Foods, and we had speakers, and on the speakers we blasted the song "My Heart Will Go On," and then we went around the parking lot, and she had to stay on the cart and do that for a full 60 seconds. Now what happened with that though is the first lady I did it to, she was awesome, but she was also working at Whole Foods, so she was on for like 35-40 seconds, and then she's like, okay, I gotta get back to work. And then when she went back to work, she was really cool. But when she went back to work, I was like, dang, now I got to do it again. I'd do it for a full 60 seconds. 60 seconds of My Heart Will Go On with somebody that you don't know in front of you, with the whole, like the Jack and the Rose thing where you're at the front of the boat. And so you're acting as the cars in front of the boat. Well, I found somebody else that did it for a whole minute with me. and she did it like we did it with it. We found a trash can, a trash can on wheels, and I pushed her around like with the trash can in front of us as the boat, and that's what we did. So this that was another one. So another one, this one Rebecca ended up doing: air guitar in a grocery store for a full 60 seconds. Put a hat down for money, extra 5 points if someone tips you. So that was funny. She was just dancing all out, and there were it was I forget what song, I don't even know what song it was, but there were people walking around. It was around like the cheese aisle at Whole Foods. But that's another stretch. That's 15 points. Another one: pretend to be an animal walking on the floor of a store or a restaurant for 60 seconds. That was also 15 points. We had a friend do that. Okay, here's another one I had to do. Tell someone you lost your purple ferret and have them help you find it for 60 seconds. Okay, so this is probably my favorite one. I found these two ladies in a grocery store, not Whole Foods, different grocery store, and we were it's like right when we started the challenge. And what I did is I'm actually pretty good at being very serious and people thinking like I'm almost persuading them that I'm dead serious. So I ran up to these two ladies and I was like out of breath, and I was like looking around like all like really aggressively, like, God, can you guys please help me? I was like, there's these I'm here with my girlfriend. I know it's gonna sound crazy. We have a purple ferret. It's a ferret that we dyed purple, and it's about this long and this long of a tail, and it got out of the cage, and it's like under the aisles or something, and I need help finding it. And these two ladies, like for a second, they didn't know if I was serious or not, but one of the ladies was totally bought in, and she was like, oh my gosh, we have to help him. So she's like, we have to help him. And then they proceed to help me for about 2 to 5 minutes, look for this purple ferret. This lady's bending over, looking over under the aisles. And then in like we went to this one aisle where like the pharmaceutical, like the herbs were and stuff. And then I told her, I'm just kidding. And they thought it was the funniest thing ever. And it turned into this really magical moment where they thought it was so cool. They wanted to take photos with us. They thought it was like a story that I know they're probably going to like talk about for a very long time. And they were like two friends. One friend was in from Sweden, and the other one was like lived in Sedona. But it was like super magical. And then once we had them, there was something else we had to do. We had to get 5 people to chant with us for 1 minute. So we had 2 of them chant with us, and then we found like 2 or 3 more people to chant with us, and we did this like wolf chant, and we had to do it for 60 seconds, and that was like another one of the stretch experiences. So that was probably the funnest one of those, the purple ferret. 10 points. Okay, here's a list of the 10 points. Pretend you know someone for at least 60 seconds. So it means you just go up to someone, you just pretend to know them, and you're like, hey, I know you from somewhere. They're like, no, you don't know me from anywhere. And you're like, yeah, where'd you go to school? Oh, what? Yeah, I went there too. Or so you just have to go on for 60 seconds. That was another one. Surrender hug with a stranger for 20 seconds. A surrender hug is where you give a hug to someone. You don't hug someone. They hug you, and you have to just receive. So it's kind of funny. But we found somebody to do that in Whole Foods. Rebecca did that one. Say Hufflepuff at least 10 times in 90 seconds of a conversation with a stranger. You guys already know who did that. That was your boy. So I went to go order. I was checking out at Whole Foods, and I just kept saying Hufflepuff. I was like, how much Hufflepuff sugar is inside this kombucha? And the lady's like, I don't know. And it was, the lady at the front. And I was like, okay, Hufflepuff, I'm going to go ahead and put my card in Hufflepuff, and then they're going to charge me the money, Hufflepuff. Okay, cool. And I just kept saying it like that. Definitely said it over 10 times. This is the thing, is you have to, the rules are you have to, like, if you just say Hufflepuff 9 times and then you leave, you have to like go say it 10 times to someone else. So you have to redo it. And that happened with a couple things we did. So 5 points. Give flowers to a stranger and tell you love them. I guess that was a stretch for someone we were with. I just do that for fun, to be honest. But let's see. Is there any more? Ask someone for $10. Buy a $15 or more gift card and give it to the person that works there. Super easy. That one was easy. Interview someone and ask them their most embarrassing story. We did that. Buy something with a blindfold. That was interesting. The person that was on the other team, his name is Josh. He actually wore a blindfold. Like, he wore like a handkerchief, like a mask, all the way over his face. So it just looked ridiculous. So it looked like one of those people that are like taking it way too far. Probably one of those people that like wear a mask while they're in their car by themselves. Obviously not 6 feet from anybody. Like somebody like that would like put their mask up all the way over their eyes. That's kind of what happened. the way that worked out really well because that looked actually kind of normal. Our friend Anya, though, she like put a blindfold only over her eyes, and she was at this place she was ordering food, and then the guy at the front charged her card, and she had to pick the tip, and he had to like put her hand over like what kind of did she want to tip, like 10%, 15%, 20%. So it's kind of funny because it was like she couldn't do that, Let's see, a couple more. Ask where this COVID person was to 5 people. That was like a random one. We didn't end up not doing that. This thing was to be sensitive, like being aware of how some people are, but like to pretend like we didn't know where is this person that everyone's talking about type thing. 20 push-ups with a stranger. We did that too. So basically what the power of these identity shift experiences is that when you do things like this, it breaks you out of your box, out of the autopilot mind, and it makes you realize that most of our lives are really like put on caring what other people think. And when you stop caring what other people think or realize that it's like an illusion, or you do things beyond that which you like priorly thought you could, you start to see yourself differently, and you start to like see where else can I show up in the world in a different way. So then I realized, I don't have to care so much about this, or like, for me, sometimes being in negative emotional tension. So what I mean by this is like, my ex-stepmom growing up, I was always in trouble. And anytime I felt any type of tension inside of me, it was normally bad. I was normally in trouble, not allowed to go to like school activities, locked outside, not given as much food to eat. Like it was pretty harsh. So because of that struggle and pain, what happened is I started to associate any negative tension, or like any tension, with being automatically negative. So being in public and being in this tension is a little bit of a stretch. But even more so than that, like there's sometimes that confrontation for me. Like I'm very assertive in many areas of my life. And I'm the first, like, I'm trying to think of an example of this, but like my buddy Victor and I go to like this place, this life transformation spa in like Costa Rica. And sometimes when we go, like they were like, the people there, the people that run it, we're going, and we brought other people that sent them lots and lots and lots of business. And sometimes they'd have like rules for us. Like, you need to go do this. You need to go do that. You need to go to all these meetings and stuff. And I'm like, this is our like 4th year coming here. We don't have I'm not going to any of these. Everyone else should go. I'm going to encourage the people that came because of me to go, but I'm not going because I want to like a break, and I want to be able to do this or do that. And like my buddy Victor, he would just go because he didn't want to get in trouble. But I'm like, no, I'm not. If I don't want to go, I don't want to go. And it would cause a little tension if someone said something. Like there was one time someone's like, you have to go to this meeting. And I was like, no, I'm not going. It's like just very clear about it, very, assertive. And I'm very much okay with that because I think I have this, because I didn't have my power when I was younger. I think I'm not afraid to assert what I really want. But I could tell that for some people that might be a stretch experience. But on the other side of that, there is a level to that. Because like one time, not that long ago here in actually Sedona, I was staying at an Airbnb before we got this house. And when I was there was we walked into this house that didn't really look anything like the photos. It looked kind of warm in the photos. We walked in, it was super cold, felt like a cookie cut. I don't know. There was something about the house that we just didn't want to stay there. And it was during quarantine, and we would have had to be at the house the whole entire time. So I had to, we walked in, and we were like, we're not staying here, And I ended up, calling the guy, and I was like, hey, just want to let you know we're not staying there. I explained, I was like, we have to be in the house a lot because of what's going on in the world. And the photos didn't look exactly like what you said. The vibe is like kind of off, blah, blah, blah. He didn't really understand. He's like, what do you mean the vibe is off? He didn't understand what vibe was. He didn't know about the vibe. But I explained that to him, and there was a lot of like negative. He was like super butthurt. He was like complaining. I was like, dude, I'm not asking for my money back. Like, I'm telling you, I'm not going to be there. Like, but I had to be really comfortable with that emotional, that like negative tension. And for me, that really wired it in that like I'm somebody that could just like there's nothing to worry about. I could just be authentic and express how I feel, And I think sometimes we're afraid to do what we want or to say what we want because we're afraid of what other people think. So, I've shared with you guys as well. I promise you, if you challenge yourself to one of these identity shift experiences, it'll transform your life. It's not going to feel comfortable while you do it, but you're going to feel high after you do it, and then you're going to get momentum. Like I told some of you as well, when I used to be afraid of talking on camera, I used to like live at my dad's house when I was trying to make it on YouTube back in 2017. And what happened is there I am trying to, like make daily videos. I was making them in the backyard by my dad's pool. Even when it was cold, like super cold, my hands would be numb and I'd still be making these videos. But my dad, I was always worried about what he would think. You always want your dad's approval. I think I always seek my dad's approval. And I was talking about some pretty esoteric things, talking about the law of attraction, which to my dad is esoteric, some other things. And I knew my dad could hear me inside the house. So I was kind of afraid. And I would when I was making videos, I kind of wouldn't talk or express myself like I do as much as I do now. So I said, screw this. I'm tired of caring what other people think. So what I did is I went to you may have heard me say this before, but I went to the Bellagio, went outside, the Bellagio water show here in Las Vegas. I'm in Sedona as I film this. But what I did is I walked around with a selfie stick. I filmed myself talking about esoteric things around a lot of people, literally like hundreds of people. And then I went through casinos and was talking while it was quiet so everyone could hear me. I did that for about 20 to 30 minutes. And after that, I just realized it doesn't matter what other people think, but also I felt like there's nothing if I could do that, then I can do anything. So it redefines the identity. Now understand your identity. You are doing everything you can to remain consistent to the way that you define yourself. And if you define yourself as somebody that is not capable of doing things outside your box, if you're somebody that says, oh, I care what people think, I need to do what my dad or my mom wants, if you're somebody that feels afraid of judgment from other people, then you're keeping yourself in a little box. And if you're afraid of tension too, like the thing I encourage you to do, if you would normally be afraid to ask for a raise from your boss and you think that you deserve a raise or you want one or that you think that's something that's possible, have a conversation with them and say, yo, I want a raise. Or not like that. Maybe you do that more strategically. But say, hey, I've worked here for a long time. I'd appreciate a raise for me to some of these identity shift experiences that I'm talking about, they're all different for different people. So for example, for like my buddy Victor, identity shift experience for him would be him going to like the store, maybe air guitaring for 60 seconds, but him proposing to like an invisible person would be a huge stretch experience for him. Some people, their identity shift experience might be them going to like receiving something, asking someone for $10. For somebody else, that might be easy. It depends on the person and where their identity is to what is going to be a shift for them. So the thing that I encourage you to become aware of is, where is your identity? How are you seeing yourself? Where are you holding your back in your life? What are you afraid of judgment with? Where are you caring what other people think? Because any of these things that you do are keeping you within a little bubble, in a little box. And until you break out of your box, you'll think that this is all you're capable of. Tony Robbins has an event where people go to normally when it's not craziness in the world. And he has this event where people walk on fire, on hot coals. And one of the reasons he has people do this is because in their mind, they believe that they can't do that if they do that, their feet are going to melt, or they just believe they can't do that. So when people walk over these hot coals for just a couple seconds, it rewires and opens up the pathways in their brain that makes them think, well, hey, if I can do this thing that I didn't think I can do, well, now what else can I do that I think I can't do? I'm going to go after that business. I'm going to go after I'm going to like say what up to my crush. I'm going to like work on myself. I'm going to like have a goal that's much more of a stretch than I can even imagine. And as you go through these different ways of thinking, you then start to like challenge your prior identity. It starts to really bring you and expand you to a new level of being. So that's one of the reasons we got up and we, on a random Monday, decided to go out for 2 hours and do as many of these identity shift experiences as we could possibly think of. And it was extremely transformative. And the one thing that I encourage you to do is to do these for yourself. And as you go through it, that's why I think a community is very powerful for this too. We may eventually, by the way, do some type of event with this where we have people come and we all like kind of get these identity shift experiences and we go through this together. I know it seems a little scary, but wouldn't it be cool to go through all that together? Let me know on Instagram if that's something you'd be interested in. If you do also though want something that I think is extraordinarily powerful, and for many of you may be an identity shift experience, is going through that of the 21-day Raise Your Vibration Challenge, where I show you every single day ways to raise your vibration. There's a video every single day you get access to. And then what you do is you have accountability where you go into the Facebook group and you post and you do the actual homework. Sometimes it's posting a photo of you doing something. Sometimes it's you reaching out to a family member or doing something or forgiving someone. It's extraordinarily powerful. I've got many testimonials from people that have been through the 21-day Raise Your Vibration Challenge. And if you go to aarondoughty.com/challenge, CHALLENGE, that's AARONDOUGHTY.com/challenge, CHALLENGE, you will see that of the challenge. You can join it. It's 21 days to a new high vibrational you. Go to that page and read the testimonials and watch the video testimonials to see what's possible. And that's a way of learning practically how to raise your vibration, not just like a couple videos you get. It's like practically step by step what to do with accountability and the dynamic of a group that helps you through the process. So right now, if you want to join, just go to aarondoughty.com/challenge. Join the 21-day Raise Your Vibration Challenge. Raise your vibration to a whole new level. And that may be an identity shift experience for many of you. So with that being said, if this is something you would like to do, or you would like some type of, you would come to an event like that or something where I sent and gave you some type of identity shift experiences, let me know. Maybe we'll do something like that. If you enjoyed this episode, could you do me a favor and share this and take a screenshot, share it on Instagram stories. I'll be resharing those that share it. And maybe that's a stretch for you to get on your Instagram and share something like this. But if this podcast adds value to you, if you could do that, it'd mean the world to me. Helps the podcast grow. Also, if you could review on iTunes. If you don't have iTunes, find a friend with iTunes and then review the podcast and leave a review. That would mean the world to me as well. It really helps the podcast grow. I'm putting a lot more intention to this podcast. And like I said, I think I'm going to change it to the Aaron Doughty podcast. It's going to happen soon instead of the Expand Your Awareness 2.0 podcast. And other than that, I love you all. And I'll talk to you later. Peace, much love, and namaste.